Trump that is acting like a king. Instead of blaming himself, he's blaming Iranian leaders. Iran could also close Bab al-Mandab, which is at the Red Sea. That blockading the Strait of Hormuz is not going to move the negotiations forward. They are waiting to see whether the U.S. is going to enforce this blockade the way they did a couple of days ago, shooting at Iranian ships. And I think if the U.S. decides to have a hard blockade, then what Iran did today is going to happen tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and as long as the blockade is continuing. Iran could also close Bab al-Mandab, which is at the Red Sea. You know, the country has a population of over 90 million people, and blockading this many people is not going to be a good idea. It's difficult to run a government with this type of blockades. So that's number one. I think a lot of people in Iran are thinking that the US is getting prepared for the next round of attacks, military attacks on Iran. And, you know, having a country at this type of a limbo, you know, no war, no peace, that's also very difficult to sustain. We have had many people losing jobs because the factories that were attacked, the hospitals that were attacked, you know, the workers there, they don't have a job now. So there are a lot of economic pressures, and I think this is by design. The United States wants to punish Iranians because the request that Trump and Netanyahu had was for Iranians to come to the streets, and they did, but they're shouting against Trump and Netanyahu. So this is a way of punishing ordinary citizens, and the hope that people in Washington have is that maybe they can achieve foreign policy goals through this method in comparison to what they did with regard to attacking Iran militarily. I think there are disagreements. You know, we have the executive branch led by a reformist government. Dr. Pezeshkian's government ran on a reformist ticket. We have the parliament that is dominated by the principalists. Iran has a democracy. People are elected. They make campaign promises. One of the promises that Dr. Pezeshkian had was negotiating with the United States, and he actually fulfilled those promises. And he was attacked in the middle of negotiations 2 times, but he actually did what he promised. So like any normal country, there are disagreements. We don't have a kingdom. We don't have a dictator. This is not a, you know, you can safely say that Iran's democracy is actually functioning. The US, you have Trump that is acting like a king. So there are differences, policy differences. But at the end of the day, you know, Iran sustained 40 days of attacks, and country fought militarily. You know, the economy is continuing to run with difficulties. So it is true that there are policy differences, but the country can manage to speak with one voice when it comes to these negotiations. I think Trump was trying to blame Iran for the failure that he had. You know, he should have known better. He should have realized that blockading the Strait of Hormuz is not going to move the negotiations forward. Instead of blaming himself in his tweet, he's blaming Iranian leaders, which is classic Trump.